Oh my God, I feel so normal. This is a feeling that I have not felt in forever. More than 10 years for sure. Probably close to 12 years since I felt normal at all. That's when my brother got evicted. You know, that's I was already dealing with a bunch of crap from the manufactured home park that's done everything to destroy my life, has done it all unfairly, and I swear, and I can prove so many of my examples to be true, I would say illegally and criminally. You know, and I don't know anything about the law. I know nothing about law. And that's why I've had a big struggle with this whole process. Number one, my brain's been ruined, my body's been damaged, my mind's been scrambled, my family's been stolen, my rights have been violated over and over and over. And it's like, what's going to happen to someone? And that's only like 10% of my, well, that's an exaggeration. But that's not even close to half my issues or half my problems or half the destruction that you've done to me and my family over the last 15 years from day one. The fact that you sold us a broken home, and I want to be very clear about this. I have a witness who is the owner of a top-rated company that specializes in the re-leveling of manufactured homes. The gentleman's name is Tom. I'm not going to give his company name out of respect for his company in case he doesn't want it announced. They're associated with my channel, but and I'm not going to give his last name or the name of his company. But if he wants me to, I'll let him know about this video. Actually, I'll let him know that I talked about him on this video and only his first name and not his company name. And if he wants me to put in the notes the name of his company, because he did an amazing job on my home, and I want to thank him for at least giving me a little happiness for a couple years. You know, the story starts off with the fact that the house sold to us was sold with a broken warranty that did not get honored. We asked 3 times for it to be honored. At 6 months, at 9 months, and again at 12 months. The 12-month mark, this is why I know that everything the lawyer's fucking writing is a bunch of bullshit. And it might be true. She actually might be quoting the law the way it's written. And if that's the case, then it just means that the manufactured home park was misleading me the entire time, because they gave me 100% the impression, you know, this is 3 different times. And my father was with me all 3 times. Unfortunately, my father has passed, and you know, they're going to use that to their advantage possibly by me losing him as a very important witness. You know, but I'm ready to take a lie detector test, and I want to see if their manager Jim, and I'm saying a first name only, and I'm not saying the name of the park, but I want to see if their manager Jim is willing to take a lie detector test. I asked him 3 times, and I asked 2 other managers 1 time each to remove a rebar spike, you know, about a 2-inch rebar spike located less than 5 feet away from my mailbox in a walkway that I would occasionally have to scroll through. Well, not have to, but need to. You know, and it was very hard to see. A very dark, kind of a semi-rusted out. And I have pictures of it. Thank God, that's the one thing that I have, some pictures of it. And that's about the only thing that the lawyer responded to. You know, in my letter to them, I sent a letter to them on August 6th with some pictures. They claimed to not have gotten the letter. You know, whatever. That's a bunch of bullshit. That's just another game they're playing, because I had also, and my fiance was with me the same day in a bright yellow envelope, about this big, you know. I put a copy of a 6-page letter that I emailed them on the same day, and with 3 or 4 pictures of the rebar spike, you know, with a quarter next to it, just to show how big it was. And you know what? Let me see if I can find them. I'll just show you exactly what they look like. See, my God, my mind is working. For the first time, probably in close to 10 years, I'm thinking the way I used to think. Kind of. I'm only about halfway there, but it feels so good to be this close. This halfway there-ness is amazing. And I'm telling you why. There's only 2 reasons. I've been so broken for so long. my serotonin and dopamine just super shot. My oxytocin just super shot. All elements of me that used to be part of my life. And I'll just throw this in real quick. My friends Carol Lee and Gil, Amy. My friends Heather and Laura. My friend Craig. My cousins Margaret, Patty, and Terry. My brother's teacher Gary. My brother's friend and coach John. My dad's friends, my friends Talal and Maha. And Sam and Iris. And my friend Mike from Sacramento Radio, doing traffic. I'm not going to say, I don't want to say last names and I don't want to say station names, just I'm trying to protect everybody's privacy, especially since this is on a pot themed channel known as Alive Again 420, which I do here on YouTube, and I hope to turn my channel into something amazing. And see, my mind is allowing me to feel hope. You know, it's like I've forgotten about my problems, and I'm going to keep forgetting about my problems and allow myself to feel like the way I used to feel. I haven't felt like this in so long, and I'm glad I'm catching it on video, and I'm glad I'm able to think so clearly and speak the way that I used to speak and think and be able to communicate. Julie, do you remember me? This is me. I'm back, baby. I'm finally back, but it's only the cannabis. You know, and that's what I was always trying to tell you, honey. I was always trying to tell you. It's like I wasn't even getting high, honey. Julie was with me the very first time I ever got high in my life, which, by the way, it's been about 26 months since I started. That's, you know, a little more than 26 months ago was the first time that I smoked marijuana. I bought a bong. Actually, do you remember that 21st night of September? Well, I sure do, because that was an amazing night. That's the night that I finally broke in my brand new bong, which I had for more than a month, actually. I purchased it, you know, and I just kept looking at it and practicing, you know, with no pot, you know, just experimenting with it, trying to watch videos and trying to learn, and just being very careful because, you know, it's just, I've been smoking weed maybe 3 or 4 times, like the month before. So, you know, I shouldn't say that, you know, this my channel is really about the bong and about cannabis as a medicine for me. So I'm very bong focused, you know, because vaping kind of scares me, and I want more research on that, and we'll see what happens. I mean, I've vaped before, you know. I went through a 3 or 4 month period, you know, in my early days where, you know, it's just edibles when you're a newbie, and that's exactly how I started, with edibles only. Well, they're easy to stack up, you know. If you have, but I'll tell you what, it took me months and months and months to build up a tolerance. So that was the wonderful thing about my experience, and I'm glad I'm remembering this. I was able to have, like, at first, although I should just start from the beginning. Never smoked marijuana in high school. Never smoked marijuana in college. I never smoked pot during my 20 to 30 to 40 year career, you know, as a radio DJ, a mobile DJ, a nightclub DJ, a rave DJ, you know, DJs in big clubs, blues clubs, rock and roll clubs, oldies clubs, country and western bars, from In Cahoots to the Yippee-I-O Cafe, owned by Leonard, who also used to own a place known as Popeye's Place, and Club Sonar. And I was the DJ that really turned those 2 nights in those 2 clubs. And actually, I shouldn't say 2 nights, because we were open 6 nights a week for a little over a year. And that's amazing for a nightclub, just with one DJ, to be DJing 6 nights a week, you know. And I was doing different music kind of almost every night, and that was fucking one of the best years of my life, you know, because, you know, the DJ would, you know, I shouldn't be talking about this, but the DJ would pay me, you know, $50 an hour, and this is for full-time work. Well, not full-time, you know, we're talking like, you know, stuff, you know, 5 hours a night kind of is kind of, you know, 5 to 6 hours. Sometimes on Friday and Saturday night it would be 6 hours. On Sunday night it would be 5 hours, you know. But to get $50 an hour, and that's tax-free, except I'm an independent contractor, so I handle all my own taxes. And of course, because I was buying so much music, I had everything. That's why I ended up with a collection of over 18,000 CDs, you know, and that was part of my amazing life, you know. But see, I've lost all my CDs. well, not all of them. I lost all my super audio CDs, and thinking about that, my high just got crushed. That was a $200,000 loss, which I can prove they're 100% responsible for causing. And it's like there's so many things they've done to me that I can prove that they did wrong, but I've jumped around so much already, and I just want to try to get as much information out as possible. I'm glad I talked about all my friends. I'm going to say their names one more time, and I just ask you please to leave a comment on how you remember me being. Was I kind of like this? Well, you can see some of my other videos on my channel right here, known as Alive Again 420. It's on YouTube. I'm going to be on the WeTube in the future, hopefully, along with TikTok. I've got this amazing idea for a radio station. I've had it for like 6 or 7 or 8 years. As a matter of fact, I've had it for more than a decade. But about 6, 7 years ago, I was getting really ready to launch it, and I could have been making so much money from it, because I guarantee my idea, will become successful. And I should be allowed that opportunity. And as a matter of fact, that should be part of the court case. It's like whatever, if my website doesn't become successful, then nothing happens. But if my website does become successful, the more successful it becomes, the more money they have to pay me also on top of that in the future. I know that is just about the craziest concept in the probably the whole universe, but to me, in my state of mind, being so crystal clear and feeling like I'm connected to my old self, and I feel just so confident that the words I just said, and I know I'm stoned, I'm high AF right now, and I'm feeling good, but I'm just feeling like I used to feel. Julie, you remember me like this. My friend Alex, you remember me like this. Carolee, I know you remember me like this, except none of you remember this beard. This beard is brand new, and I'll talk about that for a second right now. Since I'm just sharing whatever's on my mind, I'm just letting it all out, the good and the bad, the ugly, which makes reference to my website, by the way, aliveagain420.com. I'm going to get that website launched in the next week, I guarantee it, because you know what? I'm going to get my friend Wade just to watch this video and realize, that I've got something going on, and just to get my website up right now would be a big, 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 big help to me. And we could literally do it in just 1 hour's worth of work. I've got the 2 pictures I need already. I've got a picture of a pot cave, and I've got a picture of a door to nowhere. And I want to put those 2 on the front of my website. Just right on the page. Imagine that this side of the screen, you're seeing. Oh yeah, let's watch a second of this video just for the fuck of it, because I'm high. Illegal throughout high school and college, and my 20s and 30s and 40s. I'll do some commentary. I want to take a break and relax, but I want to continue my story in just a second. But let me try to feel good, because I'm stressing myself out with all this fast talk, and it's kind of scrubbing away the amazing way I was feeling 5-10 minutes ago, the way I used to feel like I was in high school and in college and in my 20s and 30s and pretty much all of my 40s. All my 50s have been effed up big time so far. In fact, it actually goes back to about, I'd say around 40, I was 45, 46 when I started feeling like I was losing my old self. But I didn't realize that it was serious or that it was permanent. And it just got worse and worse and worse and worse, just over the last 3 or 4 or 5 years. And then, I think it's been this this way I'm feeling right now, which because I've bummed myself out a little by talking all this negative talk, but I want to make sure I share my story. It's my only chance of saving myself and my brother Zane, who let me get that story on again real quick if I haven't done so already. My brother Zane, a beautiful, beautiful man, a genuine kind soul in every way, born mentally challenged from birth, but my parents did not know. Of course, I had no clue, because I'm only 2 years older than my brother. But so when we were kids, when I was 6, 7, 8, he would have been 4, 5, and 6, because there's a 1 year and 10-month difference between us. But basically, we just always say 2 years, because for most of the year, when I was 40. when I was 42, my brother was 40 for most of the year. And I'm 58 now, 58 and a half, so I know that my brother is 56 and a half. So it's just easy. My brother's age, for me to know it no matter what, it's instant, and of course, I don't worry about that damn 1 month difference, it's about for less than a month, April to May. And actually, I take that back. It's actually a little more than a month. It's 5 weeks. But still, to me, 5 weeks is almost the same as a month. And it's ridiculous to say, we're 1 year and 11 months apart. That's just a whole lot of bullshit extra words. And that's the way my mind thinks. That's the way my mind likes to think. And being focused and clear, thanks to the cannabis, I'm actually able to share exactly how I'm feeling, what I'm feeling, when I'm allowing myself to feel good again, to feel normal again. This is the way I used to feel naturally all the time. Now I'm going to try to hang on to this feeling as long as possible and talk as much about my story as much as possible while I have a good vibe and a good energy about myself. Because normally when I think about this stuff, it depresses me so much that I want to commit suicide. And that's just another thing I want to talk about for a second. I'm going to talk about every subject I can. This will be the most intense, most information-packed, most drama-packed, most tragedy-packed, most uplifting, hopefully, video you've ever seen in your life, hopefully. And you know what? I suddenly realized that if I just keep this vibe up, that I might be able to win an award for this, or at least, become a YouTube star overnight. Isn't that a weird concept? Just to think that I'm predicting now the same way Howard Stern predicted that he'd be the king of all media. The same way John Lennon just knew that he was going to be a rock and roll god. And I'm sure there were some other artists that felt the same way, like Jimi Hendrix or a Jim Morrison. Well, I used to feel that way in high school and in college, and during my 20s and my 30s and 40s, and I've always been a little overweight, usually, 30, 40 pounds overweight. You know why? Because I love food. I've always loved food. And, well, the good news is that, and a lot of you will remember that I like I said, used to be 30, 40 pounds overweight. And it's just, I'm eating so much better these days. And thank God for that, because the last 15 years my life has been so effed up, in a physical sense, due to me being injured against my want and my will and my wish. A rebar spike that I asked them to remove, and I think I talked about it earlier in the episode about this big. Oh yeah, I was gonna find it and show you it. I'm glad that I came back to that. At least I didn't. I remembered something. See, my mind is working. My mind is working much better. Okay, what am I looking for? Let me just do a search. I'll use my computer-like brain to allow the computer to do, and it worked. And now I've found like all the things. Let me just make sure that's what these are. Yeah, okay. Some of them aren't very good pictures, but we'll go through all of them. Are you ready? This is with the rebar spike. Now I don't know how to. Oh yeah, that's a picture of it right there. It doesn't look that big, and that's why I decided to go get a quarter. I took the picture. I looked at it. You know what? That doesn't look big at all. So I took a different angle actually, and that's from a different angle. And then I put a quarter just to show that it's like, about 2 inches away from the wall. It's close to the wall, but not super close. I mean, this is the walk. My foot would walk right through here, just like right on the edge of it. That's where I would walk no matter what. But except this thing was here, so I always had to keep avoiding it. And I scraped my foot on it a couple times. One time I was wearing shoes and I stubbed my toe on it. This foot right here. And my foot has been swollen ever since, but not from the stub. The stub happened. I was wearing tennis shoes, and I'm walking along, And it's like, it's just, this is way before I discovered marijuana, so I wasn't stoned. And I've never been drunk once in my entire life. Even here I am now, 58 years old, still never been drunk. I want to be drunk someday. I want my life to be fixed. I want to be happy. Then I want to get together with my friends Heather and Laura and Gil and Amy and Carol Lee and Craig and anybody else from the old Popeyes place, from Eric and Kim, to Dave, to Tony, to God, so many. Tom was a cool bouncer. And as a matter of fact, I have a good memory with Tom. Good-looking dude, man. Of course, I wasn't ugly back then. I'm ugly now because I'm old and because I haven't been able to shave my beard or get a haircut. Partly because of COVID-19, but also partly because my car just got repossessed. And I want to talk about that for a second. I've never had a vehicle repossessed in my entire life, but now I have. I've never been towed in my entire life, but thanks to them, I have. I've never been called a sand nigger, and I'm going to say it this time. This is the first time I actually let the word out, but this is as real as it's going to get, and I'm not holding anything back. It's like, I just try to say sand bleeper or, sand N-word, because I don't think I have the right to use that word. But you know what? I'm just quoting what I heard myself being called by one of their evil managers. I've had to deal with 4 different managers in the 15 years that I purchased the place. And honestly, the first manager, Jim, a nice dude, super friendly, super nice, but I don't think he did his job well enough or properly in a couple different situations. And this is going to bum me out to talk about this, but I just want to make sure I get everything out as quickly and openly and as honestly as possible, and have it make as much sense as possible. And I'm going to allow myself a second to breathe. At least I'm feeling like myself. And I hope I can stay positive enough to finish my story. And I hope I can keep feeling good enough. And that's why, I'm kind of trying to take care of myself and enjoy life a little. Here's some Cabo chips. They're cantina style. They're thin and crispy, but see, they're non-GMO verified. And, they're made with 100% real ingredients. And they're ground and uniquely crafted. I don't know what that. See, that's a bunch of bullshit. They're cut and cooked in small batches. Now that's cool. And real ingredients is the number one thing. Step 2: ground and uniquely crafted. Okay. They don't use the word handcrafted, so that makes me just. If they were handcrafted. See, to me, uniquely crafted would only be cool if it were handcrafted. Like in some country where, the females don't make very much money, but this company is being super cool, and they're paying them 4 times what they would make anywhere else. And these women love the fact that they're getting treated, with some respect, even though they're still not making, a ton of money. They're making like 4 times as much as anyone else they know. So the company gets to be profitable and gets to help people at the same time. And that's the kind of world that I've been dreaming about for a long time, and I've wanted to talk about and share on my channel, except I've been so broken over the last year and a half. And by the way, I've been getting high for 26 months now. Well, actually about 30 months. But smoking pot, bought my first bong about 27 months ago, and the very, very, very first time I smoked it, lit it up, and started enjoying it and learning how to use it and getting better and better at it over the last 2 years. But the very first time that I lit the bowl up was, do you remember the 21st night of September? And that's the song, baby. And I love that song by Earth, Wind & Fire, one of the greatest bands of all time. And absolutely one of the, there's no one better in the 70s for R&B soul music, than Earth, Wind & Fire. I mean, I love the Bee Gees, and the Bee Gees and Earth, Wind & Fire are equal as far as hit power, and the Bee Gees are magical in their own wicked little way, which I love, You know, I love their early stuff from Massachusetts and New York mining disaster, and Words is one of my favorites, which I want to dedicate to my sweetheart, the love of my life, Julie. I'll talk about her a couple more times, I'm sure, before I'm done with this episode of Alive Again 420, by the way, which has a website to support it. Let me talk about that for a quick second. Look at my mind just firing off the way I used to think. It's amazing. It's like that's what cannabis can do for you, my friend. And I might sound like a psycho or a weirdo, but I don't think so. You know, because I'm just being myself. I'm just sharing myself. I don't care what comes into my mind. I'm just saying it without even thinking it. It's almost like I'm saying it before I think it. It's like I'm ahead of myself. That's how high I am. And that's a great fucking concept. And that's another Alive Again 420 Cannabis Cool creation. And I just forgot what the fuck it was I said, and excuse me for my language. I'm so high I'm ahead of myself. Is that what I said? Well, if that's not what I said, that's also cool. I'm so high I'm ahead of myself. To be ahead of yourself is fucking, that is what I said. Because that's a fucking cool concept, said the stoner. But to be ahead of yourself is exactly how I used to feel. And see, that's why I am convinced that I might become one of the, look at me dreaming now. Well, see, that's the power of pot, baby. That's the magic of marijuana. Here I am literally dreaming, that I might become a star, just because of this one little goofy video that I just threw together off the top of my head, saying what was ever on my mind nonstop and not talking and not stopping and not only not talking, but definitely talking. And as a matter of fact, that's all I am doing is talking. But see, whatever pops into my mind is what I say, and it don't matter anyway, because you hear every single word I say, and you're going to be repeating it back in some wicked kind of way. And that's the lamest rhyme I've ever done on my little channel, my little hun. Thanks for tuning in and grooving. Thanks for understanding that I'm moving out into the world again. I'm going to get famous and become your friend. And I'm going to get that damn manufactured home part company to back off and start treating me with a little respect. And look at some of my other videos. As a matter of fact, I'm going to try to find, but I only tape myself, when I'm kind of high. But I've got some videos over the last couple days where, I'm faking it. That's what it is. I've been trying to lift my spirits, and I've been trying to find ways just to find some normalcy in my life, because so much has been stolen from me. And you know what? Let me just go through my list of what's been stolen from me in the best possible way that I can imagine. But let me finish this real quick. So let's get back to this. That's the rebar spike that I stepped on once. I scraped my foot on another time. And then last but not least, after me asking them 5 different times, 3 different managers, 5 different times, every single time a promise that it would be taken care of, and an apology that it hadn't been taken care of. It's like, for God's sakes. And it's like, this is face-to-face contact. It's like, it's hard for me to look at myself because I don't know where the camera is. And if I look straight ahead, okay, I'm looking straight to the camera now, so I can't see myself because I'm like over there and the camera's over here, and I'm stoned and it's kind of freaking me out. It's like, I want to look over here. I want to look into my own eyes, but I can't look into my own eyes because, well, you know what? The more I move it this way, maybe. That's freaky now. I look like some kind of like Sleestackian, freaky, sludge monster, silly putty headed weirdo from the future. It's like, man, I definitely need a beard trim. I need a haircut. I need a beard trim. I need a haircut. I need a beard trim. That's a song you can find on my channel known as Alive Again 420. Yeah, this is Green Weaver feeling happy for the first time in who knows how long. I would probably say it's been at least 15 years or so since I was this happy, and I literally mean that. It's been at least 15 years, the last time I felt like this, and I remember feeling like this the first 6 months I lived in my new home. This is how I felt. I felt like this every day, and this was without marijuana. This was the natural high. And that's what I was trying to tell Julie. Julie, remember me just always being excited about playing video games? And I would talk fast, and I'd always be singing, and I'd always be fucking just dancing, and be just jiving around, and turning the radio on, and changing the songs, and naming that tune like in 5 seconds or less, usually in 1 second or less. It's like Hot Legs, oh, that's Rod Stewart, or just whatever comes on. It's like Down Under, oh, that's Men at Work. Oh, don't you? Like, it's like that's Simple Minds, don't you forget about me. It's like just like half a second. Every song, it didn't matter what the format was. It could be country, whether, Alan Jackson or Kenny Rogers, or George Strait, or Brooks and Dunn, Garth Brooks. I was an expert on all that music and way, 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 way more going, into Joe Diffie before people knew who Joe Diffie was, and Toby Keith, even from his first album, and Blake Shelton in the early days when he had the long ass hair, man. It's like, of course, a lot of these artists, were big, in the country genre. Anyway, it's just I was a dude that knew everything about country, but way, way, way more about rock and roll, way, way, way more about oldies, way, way, way more about current top 40, way, way more about alternative, way, way, way more about jazz than most people, but not everyone. See, when it came to alternative music, I don't care if you're talking late 70s, 80s, 90s, alternative, it's like nobody knew more than I did about any of those genres, including my friend Alex, who knows more about music than anybody I've ever met in my life, and he knows, there's stuff he knows about that I don't know about. So, I don't know everything he knows, but I think I know more than what he knows, because I know every genre like inside and out, and I care about every genre. It's just the one genre I don't like is the 2010s and on. And I don't think it has anything to do with my decade of destruction story. It's just a bad coincidence, and maybe not such a bad coincidence, because like maybe my life was so destroyed that if I had heard good music, I think I would have been more broken. So maybe it was almost like a gift from God. When I think about it, there's so many things that, even though my life has been so destroyed over the last 10 years especially, and especially the last 2 years, I've been living in hell for the last 2 years. And it's like I've been trying to say, to my friends, that I'll repeat their names again maybe in a little while. My cousins Margaret, Patty, and Terry for sure. My cousin Assad, my who else? My brother's teacher Gary, my brother's coach and friend John, my dad, and I think I've already said this in this episode, but I'm just repeating this again, just because I want to make sure that these people know that they're always on my mind. My uncle, and my dad's friend Talal, and his beautiful wife Maha, and I want to say hello to Sam and Iris as well. I hope all 4 of you are doing well. I miss you guys so much, and I hope you're well, and I hope no one's been affected by COVID-19, not even 5%. It's like I hope none of you have had to deal with that nightmare. Luckily, I haven't had to, but I'm considering myself lucky. I have a friend that's letting me stay in his office. Otherwise I'd be homeless. It's like I got kicked out of my home for something I didn't, that